So I have a question, and I would like you, my lovely Lisa, to answer it along with the viewers. What makes the bad guy appealing? Now, the bad guy isn't appealing to everyone, but why are certain types drawn to the bad guy? And what is the appeal?
Well, for me, it's unlike the average horror show, the mad slasher. The bad guy has a code. And he's intelligent, usually very educated. And not everybody needs to be afraid of him, despite that there might be a hysteria surrounding him.
So basically what you're getting at are the Jason Voorhees or the Michael Myers and those type mad slashers who are just killing machines aren't very interesting.
They're dull.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with that. I was never a fan of those movies.
No, me either.
Where somebody like Hannibal Lecter...
Oh, there you go. Now we're talking.
Yeah. Different story. Hannibal from both the books and the movies. Highly, let's say, appealing character.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, and like you said, he definitely had a code. Like, for instance, in Silence of the Lambs, when the friend of Jodie Foster's character basically said, "Well, aren't you worried about Hannibal coming after you?" And her response was, "No, he wouldn't do that because he would find that rude."
Right.
Find that
and
rude.
And how true.
Yeah, because he does have a code. His thing is, the way I perceive it is, certain people make the world a better place.
Right.
Where in his eyes, most of humanity is worthless.
Right.
He is such the, how should I say, the mega genius that he's in the books and the movies, so on and so forth, he's not depicted as either a true psychopath or sociopath. As they say in both books and film, he's something else. They don't have a name for what he is.
Right.
And how I see him, he's in a sense a almost an Ubermensch. He is beyond normal human in intelligence and so on and so forth.
And he's somebody that will affect centuries ahead of him, beyond. Like that's sort of the description of an Ubermensch.
Well, he's outside that even. He's more of like, okay, human beings can eat cattle and not feel anything about it.
Right.
Where they can't eat another human being unless you're in a gory.
Right. That's true enough, yeah.
His thing, he's so on an intelligence or evolutionary scale, he's above it all. So he doesn't have a problem like feasting on someone's liver. With a nice Chianti.
That's right. You have to serve the right wine with that.
Exactly. Because of the fact they're a little more than practically beasts to him. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but that's the way I interpret it. Now, also, okay, in literature and film and so on, No Country for Old Men, the character Anton Chigurh, the killer who was sent after Llewellyn Moss, who had acquired that satchel of, what was it, a couple $1 million or whatever. And the way he was in a sense an automaton. He was just driven to do his job. But like you said, there was a code about him.
Oh yeah.
One of his codes was he didn't want to get his boots messed up
with
blood. So before he killed people, often he removed his boots. Or
I do remember that.
And the coin, he would toss the coin, and the coin, like if somebody was annoying him, he would tell them, "Call it," and they were, "What are you talking about? Call it." So yeah, he had his strange code, and a character created by Cormac McCarthy, my favorite writer of fiction, who also created another character for another book, my absolute favorite novel, Blood Meridian, and the character of the judge, or Judge Holden. Judge Holden also is more like a force of nature, in a sense of like Anton Chigurh was in No Country for Old Men.
Right.
He was a metaphor for the changing times, meaning the old men, as in the case of Tommy Lee Jones in the film, old man, old way of handling, lawbreakers, and law enforcement and so on and so forth. Then you have this new entity, this something different, and hence No Country for Old Men. Well, Blood Meridian, you have this character of the judge who is like a force of nature, if you will. He is an absolute mega genius, and he has a code. It's granted, it's a very crude code.
Yeah, to say the least.
But he, like you said, he has a code, and people are drawn to him, even though they know he's absolutely despicable. They are drawn to the judge. The judge, a mega genius. For instance, that line that I've said in another video too, when we talked about the book Blood Meridian, his line when some of the other individuals there out on the border of Texas, Mexico in 1850 are asking the judge out there in the desert, why is he documenting everything in notebooks and so on? And he goes, well, because that which exists without my knowledge exists without my consent.
Right.
So
I love that.
Yeah, so he is in a sense almost a bizarre godlike character. And also every individual who ended up in this band, an actual real life band, and supposedly the judge is based on an actual person of the same name. They all confronted the judge at one time or another before they joined up in this band. All over the United States, somehow the judge was there. So it's kind of an interesting, it's up to you to interpret who is the judge, what is the judge. More like not who is, but what is the judge. Fascinating character. Truly a vile bad guy. Breaks every fucking law you can think of, even natural laws. He is a vile character, but you are drawn to him and you find him highly appealing. Now, in history, there have been people like that. In my case, I've always been drawn to Vlad the Impaler. He did some despicable shit, but there's something about him, there's a certain appeal, and it's also your key point. A code. Now, what was his appeal? He had that code, he had intelligence, he had strength, and he had a wry sense of humor. Like an example, an individual one time complained about the impaled bodies and the stink of them. So what did Vlad do? He stuck him on a higher pole, so that way he wouldn't smell it. Stuff like that. Now there's definitely a strong appeal toward him. Where someone like, let's say, Jeffrey Dahmer, zero appeal. A whiny little bitch, no code. Weak, frustrated, he exuded no strength. There's no appeal.
That's right.
Now, you as a woman, is there anything in like sexual attraction? Do you find that in certain bad guys?
You mean like I've talked about my crush on Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah.
and so no, it's an intellectual crush. It's not a sexual groupie type of thing. It's literally of their minds. How do they think? Why do they do the things they do? What's their code? It's done with a sense of high intelligence, I think.
And if they weren't intelligent, the appeal would not be there.
Exactly. Not at all.
Because if you're just a mad slasher, no brains, no intellect.
Who looks like a rock star? No, get away from me.
What do you mean looks like a rock star?
Well, like no matter how, some
Oh,
people
no
are
matter
just
how okay. I
good
guess.
looking as an actor you are.
Oh, okay.
Or,
But
you know,
if you don't have a code, it's the idea of the
yeah,
code.
you could look like a bug. If you had a code, I'd have a crush on you.